I'm going to be honest with you. Skip Bayless is not one of my favorite people.
I can imagine.
Okay. So I'm on there doing the show. I do the show and everything. And then all of a sudden, this is when the Tebow phenomenon was going on. Mm-hmm. And he was a huge Tim Tebow guy. You know, this guy is this.
I remember it.
Okay.
Oh.
So I come on there on a Monday. And, you know, we're trading barbs and everything. We go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then I just level set it and was like, listen, if throwing the football is important in the NFL, Tim Tebow will never be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yep.
So he got defensive, and then he came back and said, well, that's why you didn't win a Super Bowl. Okay.
So what'd you say?
Which got nothing to do with nothing.
Agreed.
We went to commercial break.
So you didn't say nothing before commercial. He just said his...
No.
Okay. Good man.
I took my earpiece out, and I told him, I'll never be on your show again. Yeah. And if you ever say anything like that to me again, I'll punch you right in the fucking face.
Good for you. That's why I like you. What did he say?
He couldn't say anything because I got up. I'm off the set. Then the producers came. Hey, Cris, no, it's not necessary. Then the people came from the back. Stephen A. was like, Cris, man, this is not. I was like, bro, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not doing nothing. I'll never be on another show. I won't be on this show ever again as long as he's on here.
Correct.
Not a fan of that exchange either direction. Whoever the host was, it's telling Cris Carter, yeah, that's why I like you. And that was a good thing to, Cris Carter, let's say at this time, Cris is my age. So he's talking about a time when he's got to be 45 to 50 years old or somewhere in that age. And some guy says, that's why you'll never win a Super Bowl. And you're triggered to the point that you'd want to punch him. I mean, that's just a kid, a childlike mentality. So I don't even understand why Cris is telling the story. And particularly now, it's just like, oh, I'm a tough guy, Cris Carter, but I'm going to kick Skip Bayless when he's down. You could have told this story anytime over the last 5-6 years. Did Cris Carter left Fox Sports 5-6 years ago? Why he's only telling the story now because Skip Bayless is out of power. So it's not a tough guy move. It's a cowardly move. But I got more. Your thoughts?
Cris Carter always had great hands. I didn't know he had hands. I mean, I'm with you, Jason. Look, that made no sense what Skip Bayless said to Carter. It really didn't. And I think he lost that debate for whatever it's worth. But to react like that, I thought it is a fundamental flaw personality-wise. And by the way, Jason, for years, hasn't Cris Carter always talked about his faith, that he's a man of God? Again, that doesn't mean that you don't have emotions or that you can't get angry, but that's the way you react. I mean, if I'm Cris Carter, who eventually made the Hall of Fame, and by the way, Jason, deservedly so, I would have laughed at that. I wouldn't have taken Skip seriously. I wouldn't have been angered. That would have gotten a chuckle out of me, and then you move on. And another thing about Cris the Hitman Carter, you want to get a laugh out of people that are really great athletes that have an inflated view of themselves. Watch them in a boxing gym. Watch a lot of these guys hit a heavy bag. I've been there, whether it's Wild Card, 10 Goose Boxing. These guys all think they can fight. Put them on a heavy bag, which last time I checked does not hit back. The illusions of them being tough guys or being able to throw good, proper punches goes right out the window. It really does. Now, I would still make Cris Carter a 10-1 favorite over Skip Bayless. He has the better legs, twitchier athlete. I get it. But that is not a great look for Cris Carter. And for that podcast host to say, good for you. That's okay. I have a question. What if you have a guest that you don't get along with and he says something that doesn't resonate with the guy and the guy slugs him? Would he then say, good for you? That's why I respect you. I found it juvenile, Jason, the whole thing.
Skip Bayless is 14, 15 years older than Cris Carter.
At least.
People that have never met Skip Bayless don't understand how small he is.
He's a flyweight.
Again, and so here's an old white man who's small. Cris Carter is a former NFL Hall of Fame wide receiver, and he's like, yeah, I wanted to punch this guy in the face. The whole thing just looks weak. And this is where Cris Carter, who I think could have been a Hall of Fame broadcaster. I mean, because the guy does know football, and he's passionate about it. He understands it. He can articulate his thoughts on football very, very well. But he has no emotional discipline, no emotional control, and he's a bully. In terms of he couldn't transition his behavior to something that's appropriate for the broadcast world. Now, the broadcast world has become so corrupt that, athletes with the deficiencies, the emotional deficiencies, and being a bully are a bit more in style. But, man, people had a lot of problems with Cris Carter, with his anger issues, his lack of emotional control. And that's ended up what got him out of favor at ESPN. It ended up what got him out of favor at FS1.
Yeah.
I can remember. Yeah, I can remember. Me and Cris because Cris is not a fan of mine. He's blocked me on Twitter, and I've never been someone that I remember. And again, maybe I need to refresh my memory, but I don't think I've been really aggressive with Cris in terms of public criticism. But for he doesn't like me, and I can remember once. I think it was I don't think it was on the actual show. I think it was testing we were doing for Speak for Yourself. And Cris, one of his big flaws is, because he is a former player and because he takes the game very seriously, he loves to argue, you can't talk about the game because you didn't play it at my level. And he tried that on me on Speak for Yourself. And I can remember just shutting things down. I was like, hey, man, that ain't going to play here. You got to come with a stronger argument than I didn't play in the NFL and you're the only one that can talk. That ends the show. What do I need to be? If you're the only guy that can be an authority on this, what do I need to be here hosting the show for if you're the only person whose opinion that matters? And Cris kind of bowled up and started talking about, I'm good with these hands. And I'm like, so?
Is he?
What's
the proof of it? I mean, he's got good hands. I mean, look, here's the thing. I always thought it was strange because I like Cris Carter. Is when he's on air, he has good things to say. Yeah. I enjoyed him on Inside the NFL back on HBO years ago. And I thought it was strange that all of a sudden he was jettisoned from FS1 with no explanation. This gives me a window into what may have happened behind the scenes, Jason.
Oh, I know what happened. The
you?
man's got no discipline.
Okay.
He just has no discipline. And so whatever discipline struggles that men struggle with, he struggles with them. And it's I'll end it with this, and I don't want to go too far with it, but I'm just going to speak facts. My dressing room at Fox Sports was right next to the makeup room.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy!
And there was one person who had a dressing room, but made the makeup room his office. I'll just end it. I'll just leave it there and just say it's a lack of discipline. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.